All right, then, people. Welcome to the Football Express podcast. And it's been a while, hasn't it? But there was a saying from a film once. I tried to get out and they keep pulling back in. So I wish I could do a podcast every day, really, but busy times. But sometimes certain things happen and you just feel like you got things to say, get off your chest. So before we get into the main topic of the podcast, let's just talk about some of the stuff that you hear on the media. This podcast is called the Football Express podcast, and as the name says, or as it says on the tin, it's a place to express yourself. So that's why I like to express my views. So a lot of people, I find anyway, social media, and obviously especially when it comes to football, everybody wants to be right. So you can have a discussion with somebody and they're trying to make you change your mind and believe what they say. Whereas, and especially in football, you speak to a lot of people and they're very emotional, even adults. Never mind when you speak to like young kids or let's say teenagers or anything, but even mature adults, like even people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, everybody's emotional. I think that's one of the great things about football. You know, people are invested in their teams or certain players, so it's a good thing as well. But it clouds a lot of people's judgment. And when you speak to people, and it's always like they can't see the other side. And like I said a few moments ago, if you support a team or a player, you should support them. You know, especially if they're struggling and stuff. But there's always got to be a bit of scope to see the other side or try and see the other side. So this podcast might be a bit long, and one of the things is, especially nowadays and in general, I think everything is quick. Everyone wants to like, the attention span is a bit different. Even podcasts sometimes, you know, people lose their attention quickly, so you have to get what you're saying across quick, otherwise you lose people. Sometimes find it in football coaching as well, especially when you're dealing with the younger kids. You can't stand there and talk to them for 5 minutes, they'll just lose interest. If you've got like 7, 8, 9 year olds who just come to play football for an hour or so, they haven't got the attention span. It's not their fault. They are who they are and they are the age that they are. But like I said, this podcast wasn't about being right. It was just about offering different opinions and different views, especially from what you see on TV. A lot of the channels you see, I won't mention any of the channels, but a lot of the pundits you see and stuff, now you watch it and they're just looking down at their notes half the time. And it's like, you've got facts like, oh, that guy's made, this player's made a certain amount of appearances and he scored this many goals and he cost. But you don't hear actually people's opinions in the sense that what do they think. Everything, half the time you can't even say what you want to say. But like, what are your opinions? So this is a place where, like I said, especially for myself, offer my perspective, offer my views. Don't mean to change anyone's mind. People can't think what they want, but just a case of seeing different things and then thinking to yourself, hold up, did I think of that? Or was I aware of that? Or could that be right? Or, you know, just getting your mind thinking about football, especially for people, you know, that, how do they say, students of the game. So like I said, this podcast, I'm not going to rush it. However long it takes, it kind of takes. Usually before I'm looking at, all right, it's got to be a certain time limit, but it goes where it goes. So like I said, sometimes people need like a longer format. They need to have information that they can digest and not just like, you know, like 5-10 minute thing. Sometimes you find out about people like, all right, have they got the patience? Do they want to learn? They don't necessarily have to agree with everything, but can they, you know, can they absorb information? Can they digest it in their minds? Can they think about it? Can they take what they think is true or what they like and then take out what they don't and form their own opinions, So like I said, it's gonna be, well, like I said, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but it goes where it goes. So ideas. I don't want to like have facts after fact after fact in terms of numbers and data and stats. It's just about when you watch football, what do you see? What do you like? How do you interpret things? What are you understanding or taking away from it? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to see more of? Stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, from the title of the podcast, probably haven't thought of the actual even title yet. I'll think of that once I've done the podcast. But this podcast is gonna be, I think it's gonna be titled Klopp's Kids, because Liverpool won the Carabao Cup against Chelsea. Virgil van Dijk goal in extra time, and the narrative was Klopp's kids, and made it sound as if it was a bunch of like 5, 6, 7, 16-year-olds that were playing who just like being plucked off the street or something. And even I think during the match they even said that the Chelsea's average age at the beginning of the match and end of the match was younger than Liverpool's, and that maybe like Chelsea had a more average of a certain age, whereas Liverpool had some very experienced players and then a couple of teenagers, I think 2 or 3 teenagers that came on later during the match as well. So again, language and communication is important as well, because what does one word mean to somebody else may not mean the same to somebody else, and then you're having a conversation and you're both coming from different points of view because the words mean different things. So it becomes a pointless argument really, because you're not, whilst the words might be the same, it means different things to both of you. So you're not on the same like playing field really. So then you're just going around in circles. But yeah, like I said, I was talking to somebody and they were going on like, yeah, Klopp was brave, playing the youngsters, and like I said to the guy, I said, it's not like he had a choice. If your players are all injured, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna say, oh no, I've got 10 first team players injured, so I'm only gonna have a squad of 14 players, 11 senior players, and 3 subs on the bench, and because the other players are like from the youth system and they've never played a match before, I'm not gonna put them on the bench. So we're just gonna have 14 players, for example, on the bench. Or are you just gonna say, some teams you even see have 2 goalkeepers? I think not just 1 goalkeeper on the bench, but because they've been decimated by injuries, they've had 2 goalkeepers on the bench. So, like I said to the guy, it's not like he had a choice. It's not like Salah was fit, Trent was fit, Nunez was fit. It's not like all those players were fit and he chose to play the youngsters or put them on the bench. So it's not like it was a genius decision. It was that of, like I said, not choice but necessity. So that's one part of it. And again, like I said, Chelsea's team was young as well, but obviously they've cost more money. So, but in terms of Chelsea's team, like they've got a new manager. Obviously, he's only been there since the start of the season, and the players are new. Whereas you could say about Liverpool's players, even though they are young, they come through the system in the sense that they know the style of play. So obviously they've been training with the first team for however long as well. So they've got their positions, they know their role in the actual team. Whereas Chelsea's team, all right, you might have like players who are £100 million, but they're coming into a team with another player who's new, and even he might have cost £100 million, but they don't know the system, they don't know the role, they don't know the culture of the club. And Chelsea, what is the culture really of the club? So, like I said, it was the decision that was taken for him really, and uh, like you're playing against Chelsea as well, so extra time comes, this, that, and the other. And I'm not sure if after the match Klopp was talking about Konate was struggling with fitness, or one of the uh, couple of players struggling with fitness. So if you're going into extra time and you're in a final and your players are struggling, like, and there's half an hour left to play, you've got a choice. You can leave them on, but obviously legs do help. And you've got youngsters, and one thing youngsters are going to have are legs and enthusiasm. And all right, they might be overawed by the experience and stuff like that, but like they say, youngsters don't have no fear. So even if it's a final, and one of the main things as well was Chelsea were absolutely shocking, especially in that extra time period. And even Pochettino said after the match, I think they were playing. I don't know if it was his intention, but the team was playing for penalties, which if you're in a final and one team is doing like that, and like I said, even the Liverpool crowd were getting up, you could sense it that they're there for the taking. So whether you're young or not, you can tell by body language, you can just tell by the way they're playing, maybe slowing things down, not taking any risk. If you see a team like that, and especially if you're Liverpool, you sense that and you go for the kill. And again, it's Pochettino. It's not like he's got a great record of winning finals or winning anything. So this is the narrative I don't understand. It's that Liverpool beat like prime like Real Madrid or like Man City in a final, and it wasn't the case at all. Chelsea probably had the better chances, and it always reminds me of something. I think it was the Barcelona match against Inter. I think the one at the new camp now, when everybody said it was a great defensive masterclass from Inter, but Barcelona had so many chances to win that match and probably should have. I think refereeing decisions, etc. Now I'm just thinking about it. Was it Chelsea or was it Inter? Well, I think both matches. So if a team's creating that many chances or has that many shots against you, it's not really a great performance from you. And we all know Chelsea are struggling to score goals with that striker situation. But Kelleher, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And again, Kelleher, Klopp said after the match he's got the best goalkeeper in the world and the best number 2, and he was absolutely fantastic, to be honest. But again, he's not a youngster, he's 25. So he had an absolutely superb performance, man of the match, I would say. So, it wasn't like Liverpool outclassed Chelsea for like the whole match. On the look of things, Chelsea should have probably won. Of course, when you get into extra time, doesn't matter who you support. I never like seeing teams win when they're playing like that. Yeah, so just a bit of narrative really regards Klopp and all this, like how he decided to play the youngsters, and he didn't have much of a choice really, So genius, this, that, and the other. It's necessity really to me. Chelsea ain't a top team anyway. So if it's like against Man City, then it's a bit more, let's say, takes a bit more guts, But like I said, it's not like Klopp's a bad manager, is he? And I'm not saying he's a bad manager, but he's an experienced manager as well, and he could probably see himself what's happening here, especially in extra time, and the way Chelsea's were playing and just trying to manage that game. That, listen, we've got a chance here, got a real big chance. So that's my main thing really, with the Klopps kids stuff. And I'll be interested when everyone is back. How many of these kids get chances to play? Then it'll be interesting. Like I said, when everyone's fit, is he going to give him the chance then? But like I said, certain narratives, even the bottle job thing, what Gary Neville said about Chelsea, that will stick now. So, the media is like that. It just clings on to certain clickbait stuff, what makes it's quite romantic. Klopp's kids, like a miracle. And even Klopp was saying yesterday, I think, that it was his most important or most special win. And again, I don't understand why. That I think you had about 7 players, at least 7, 8 senior players. I mean, even Harvey Elliott, I think, made his 100th appearance for Liverpool last week. So it's not like, alright, he's young, I think he's 20. He's not a baby in terms of like just putting him in the team. And he's the Liverpool bought him, I think, when he was 16. So he has got talent, the boy. There's not like I said, like just pulling players out from nowhere. These, to be in the top academies like Liverpool, Man City, or Man United and stuff, there's a reason the players are there, because they've got the talent. So yeah, and then we haven't finished yet. I think we're just like halfway through or just getting started. Then another thing is you're always getting these Pep comparisons from people, especially the Liverpool. Well, it's about 99%. Well, not even 99, 100% from Liverpool side. Always bringing up stuff about Pep. Klopp can do what Pep can do, but Pep can't do what Klopp can do. And it's easy to make up scenarios. It's like, when you get footballers or people like who play football or whatever level, and they always say, yeah, I could have been a professional but injured my knee. The underdog always has that like hypothetical, like, I could have done this. If you gave me the same amount of money, I could have done that. But it's easy to say. But I think this is Klopp's 9th season, and if he doesn't win the title this season, I think that will be 1 title in 9 seasons. And let's just give them the title, because I think if they beat Man City at Anfield, then it's Liverpool's title. If Man City win, obviously then they've got a great chance. But I think if Man City can't lose that match, So say Liverpool do win the title this season, it will be 2 titles for Klopp at Liverpool in 9 seasons. So is that something that Pep wouldn't be able to do? Is that beyond, from everything that Pep's done in his career? You ask yourself that question, that this guy has won, like, I don't know, probably average of 2 trophies every season in his career since he started managing. So this guy would not be able to do 2 titles in 9 seasons. It's beyond the realms of reality. I mean, it's impossible. Like, there's no way that the guy would be able to do it. It doesn't really make sense. Always say, no matter what team Pep goes to, what style of football are they going to try and play? Are they going to play or try to play? Now, even when he came into Man City, there were players that couldn't do what he wanted. So he bought better players, or coached the players. If you've got 6 months to do it, obviously it's a bit of a problem. But if you've got like 9 years, over the course of 9 years, and you gave Pep any team, he'd be able to make them a lot better than they are. And that's just questions to ask us. Why wouldn't he be able to do it? What kind of football would he play if you gave Guardiola 9 years? Would he be able to bring through youth players? Would he be able to make players better? Questions like I said, has Klopp ever retained the title with Liverpool? I'm not sure if he did it with Dortmund. I think he might have, but I'm not 100% sure. But he's never done it with Liverpool. Pep's done it. So, what makes you think that Klopp could do it if he hasn't done it with Liverpool? Has Klopp ever done the treble with anyone? Has he even come close to doing it? How many teams has he in those 9 seasons that he's been there? How many teams has he created? Or great teams has he created? Even before, they used to say a great team is a team that retains their title. It used to be said. Liverpool haven't retained their title. That team they had with Sadio Mane, Firmino, and Salah, they didn't retain the title. So it's not like they dominated. How many years has Pep played that style of football? The level of football? How many times has Klopp played in the Europa League? How many times has Pep been in the Europa League in his whole career? What is the expectations on Klopp? Who has more pressure? When Pep goes anywhere, it's not just, he has to win one. It's like, if he doesn't do the treble, he's a failure. Everywhere he goes, Klopp can get in the Europa League and nobody will say anything. Can you imagine if Guardiola finished 5th or 6th and Man City were not in the Champions League? I think it might have happened to Klopp twice, or when he arrived, they were in the Europa League. But Pep's never played in the Europa League. Even this season, Liverpool are in the Europa League, they're not in the Champions League, so it's a different pressure as well in that sense. What would happen to Pep if he finished outside the top 4? Would he even stay the next season? Would he get sacked? We don't know. I don't think we'll ever find out. It's a bit like I always say, when people compare Maradona and Messi, they're always going to use the positive argument for in this sense, the underdog, which is Maradona. The pitches are better now. There's less fouls. It's a less physical game now. The better physios. But they never ask the question of the opposite side. How would Maradona deal with the media now? How would he be able to do with if he was playing in Europe for 15 years? How would he do with travelling back to Argentina, back and forth for friendlies or matches for 15 years? How would he be able to deal with players that are faster now and stronger? Changes of formation. We see a lot of teams pressing now. Even Messi under Guardiola used to press, speed of the game. So all these questions, if you're going to ask one side, you have to be fair and ask from the other side as well. How many times has Klopp had to deal with players who have won a lot and keep them and the team motivated and hungry? Pep's year in, year out, he's done it with strikers, no strikers, false nines, this, that, and the other. He's had players that have won multiple titles. How do you keep those players hungry? People are always like, he's got money, he's got top players. You can give somebody a Ferrari, but if they don't know how to look after it or drive it, it's not going to matter too much, because the Ferrari's not going to be on the road for long, and the person might not be in good health for long as well. So it's not just about having the top things. You have to think of the psychological side as well. How do you keep a player happy? How do you keep De Bruyne happy? Or if you're not playing Haaland every single match he wants to play, how do you deal with these top egos? How do they keep respect from you, for you? How do you keep the same message? year in, year out? How do you keep them fresh? How do you keep them same thing, motivated? How do you make them not bored? Everybody thinks it's easy, but not a lot of people have done it. Like Pep's done it. So all these arguments, like I always say, it's easy for the underdog to say, but and it's in life as well. People can say, "I could have done that. I would have done that." But you haven't done it. That's the thing. So sort of say, who knows? Why would Pep Guardiola has to prove himself at a lesser team? Why does he have to do that for? So you want Pep Guardiola, who's managed Messi, all these top players. He's won all these Champions Leagues with different teams, all these titles. You suddenly want to go to say even a team in Division One and suddenly prove himself. You want to take his whole family, drop in wages, different level of player, and how long would it take? He's not here for another 50 years, to prove himself to people. There's a reason why certain people end up where they are. There's a reason why Zidane was at Real Madrid managing them, and probably hasn't managed any other teams. There's certain reasons. You can't just expect people to do things just that don't make sense. Yeah. So this next one, just ask both sides. Who knows? Maybe Pep wouldn't be able to do it. We don't know. But I'm just saying, you can't just say Klopp would automatically just give him the money. How do we know? Has Klopp ever had that much money? We don't know how he would deal with the money. Maybe he would. Maybe he likes having players that he can manage, that are not superstars. Give Klopp and Mbappe. What would happen? You think? Maybe his style of player he needs differently as well from Pep. So there's all these different things, but it's always one-sided, and you need to have a proper conversation with people who can see both sides of the story, who want to. And like I said, I'm not saying that if it put Guardiola at Liverpool and he would have won 5, we don't know. But we can only go by what he has actually done and the style of football. And like I said, it's another thing as well. I'm going to bring that Portuguese player, and I don't even like saying his name, to be honest. But when people compared that rivalry, they always used to judge it by goals. But Messi's not a striker, and he's not a player who spends his time in the box. So you're judging them by different metrics. So you're judging them by the metric of one player, but the other player, that's not his style of play. So it's like judging a car that can go fast in a straight line and a car that's good at going around corners. And so you're judging different things, and it doesn't make sense. So yeah. So like I said, I think it's probably been nearly half now, but there might just a few things, and let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. There's some interesting matches coming up towards the end of the season, and let's see if Liverpool do the fake quadruple as well. Does it even count as a quadruple if they win 4 trophies and it's not the Champions League? We'll see. But interesting end to the season. Let's see if all 3 teams, Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal, can go right to the end. But City have got United this weekend. I think Liverpool the week after on the 10th. And somewhere in between. I'm not sure if they're playing Arsenal and Villa as well. So interesting month ahead. March will be. And yeah, like I said, this wasn't really to sway people in any other way. We just get people thinking about certain things from different points of view. And you only hear certain narratives on the TV and stuff. So hopefully this is a place where it gets your mind thinking about football a bit, and not necessarily about right or wrong, but it's just what people see. Football is a game for everybody. Everybody likes it for different reasons. So if you talk and communicate and share ideas, learn of each other, it's a good thing. So yeah, that's it really. Thought I'd get that off my chest. And hopefully, like I said, it can be more consistent with the podcast. So yeah, anyway, thank you for listening. Good to be back. Have a good evening. Goodbye.